So nice to be back on this again. First time since 2023, final tour. Gosh, sounds fantastic that. Careful we hear that wind. Like only one token here as well. Really good. Got the vintage classics. Especially when you're in a 440 street like that. Makes it even more immersive. This is lower than the roof of the mine, but it's the... Whoa! Just to the mine as well. Do a review of that after. Hey! Oh, this is what I live for. Whoa! Oh, I'm about to get wet. Here we go. Whoa! Oh, a bit. Oh, these are the sort of things we try to live for. Here we go. fantastic though. Ah, that's the truck for the ghost train, Alex Hyman. And the rest of the car. Because the Facebook post that it's from Hyman, and it's a good look at Hyman running your new ghost train. There's the elephant with the castle. He's dead now. Quiet.
Might have to sit next to someone strange, they might think you're a bit strange as well.
And that wraps up this vlog from the Black Country Museum. Over here, my first full attraction of 2024. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. It's more immersive than ever now. You've got so many different themed areas. 40 Street's fantastic with the new streets. So many different houses you can already walk through before, but now there's even more. And of course, you got the ghost train at the end of that with some fantastic, very vintage effect. I think what I like about that is they've kept it feeling, it's not just vintage on the outside, it's also vintage on the inside, and it's Alex Hyman who owns that. The rest of the rides are actually ex-Carter Steam Fair rides. Some of the juveniles you might have seen in the background, and also the Chairplane, which is, well, great to get back on that. Litchfield 2022 August was the last time I did that, and the last time I did any Carter's rides. So yeah, that was great. All the other buildings, I did get fish and chips, and I love the fish and chips here. They've got a very unique taste to them, like the sort of very strong salty flavour of like the fish batter is fantastic. I did have salt on my chips as well. And I had a giant custard cream, which was great. You can get them from the cake shop, which is also on the main street, right down the bottom end, and that's also yeah, really good, with the really thick kind of crunchy biscuit on the outside. Yeah, yeah, I've wanted one of them for a while, and to finally be able to get a giant custard cream from here was fantastic. And the fish and chips is tradition when you come here. But yeah, obviously you got the mill here with a big pump on the side. There's various different buildings you can go through. There's animals like horses and chickens you can see. But the main thing that I didn't review is the mine, which is just there. Fantastic experience. So obviously you get your hard hat on. And something I didn't mention, it's actually closed for a while as well. To see it back open is fantastic. But yeah, you get your hard hats on, and you get off down the mine. So you go through the first tunnel. There's obviously throughout there's tunnels between scenes, and the tunnels at the start the ground gets very low, and the final tunnel the ground's a bit slippy. The ground is uneven. The wooden beams above your head, you can sometimes bump your head on. I did as well when I was in there. And like the ceiling is various different low points. Sometimes you'll get to some areas, they'll say, like the tour guide will say, like, this is a really low roof, or this is like the lowest point of the roof you get into. But yeah, so you go in through a corridor. It's like you switch, so you've got this like, because you've got various wax figures with like sort of stained with coal dust, and the conditions they had to work down there, and like yeah, you get introduced to a narrator. You switch the lights off because there's a few candle torches, but there's some scenes that are pitch black. You have to switch your torches off because they're quite dim anyway to replicate the candle lights. But yeah, so you go down. You've got Billy, who is a 12-year-old who's worked down there since he was 10, working in these pitch black, damp sort of conditions for 12-hour shifts. Obviously, at the start they say, yeah, this is the beginning of your 12-hour shift in the mine. So you're in there, introduced to the kid. There's also a sort of horse and carriage, and it's Sally and the horse down there who, like, the cart, there's like a mine cart that the horse is taking along, bringing along the different materials through the mine, and the said like the horse and the driver can have a good relationship down there. But yeah, so you're into there, into that sea, and then you leave through a corridor. You get to a little sort of intersection, I suppose. At least there's a lot of candlelight in that scene. It's not pitch black, where to the point where it burns to look around sometimes in some of the scenes. But yeah, so you've got a miner sort of lying down under there digging, and they actually say that the kind of, because there's like wooden beams holding it up, that actually just support the bits that were working in with wooden beams. So sometimes they would just let like the rocks just fall down behind them. So yeah, they would just let us. So that's what, and the ground got quite uneven as well, even like to the point where houses were ending up on underground, like on the bottom floor. So you'd have to climb in through the top windows. But this sort of ground here, you'd think this is because it's why it's so immersive, because you think it's just uneven ground because of the mining and the ground falling through and becoming uneven. It's actually not. It's actually just an attraction that's been dug down and dug out, and they've just put the sort of immersive themed attraction down there to take you on tours of what it would have been like. But you do feel immersed when you go in there because of the smells that you get when you're underground. It's really good the way it's done. But yeah, you go through into a room where there's explosives. So you've got a Pepper's Ghost effect by the look of it. So there's a wall, and they say they don't really use explosives that often. However, they would be sometimes used if the rocks are really hard to break through. So they would blow it up, and there's like a rumble. You can feel the vibrations in the floor, and then the wall blows up. Really, really good effect that, and you can see all the rubble on the floor. And then the next scene you go into, I think this is the next one, where there's like the winch system, which is where they'd use the only escape route normally, where you'd get like 4 people in a bucket and they'd get winched up and they'd just cling onto the chains on there so they could raise up to the ground. And they said it's not the safest way of getting up, but it was the only way. Then you've got there's a scene where it all kind of opens out into one massive room. There's like a few miners sort of in there that you see, all coal dust stained and working down there in very dark conditions. There's like big stacks of like wider wooden beamed supports where they've like stacked them kind of around, and they've attached candles to them for a little bit of light. And you've got a ladder, which is like, the tour guide was really good because they're like, oh yeah, this is your escape, right? Who wants to take it first? But yeah, you're going up like there's a miner with a hammer, and they said like sometimes that because the ceiling could fall down, and they could get some rocks from it, but sometimes people were stood underneath the rocks as they caved in, and it didn't really end in the best situation. But that did happen because, well, safety wasn't as good, especially down the mines in those sorts of kind of conditions. But yeah, only the most skilled miners in the Black Country was where a lot of those were. So they'd use a hammer and knock down, and as long as there was no one underneath, all that ceiling would cave in. But you've got like rocks piled on the floor, so it kind of looks like the ceiling's sort of caved in. And then you go out through a very slippy, floored corridor to the exit of the mine. Yeah, fantastic experience that, and it's great that it's back open. Yeah, it was actually closed